Good morning, boys and girls. It is, I have no idea what today is. It's Wednesday. I guess that doesn't really matter. Anyway, we're on Math Module 5, Lesson 30. So we're going to look at the problem set today. This is one of those problem sets where I do wish that I could do with you, like actually in front of you. We would be in our centers right now doing this. Some of you, it might be a little confusing, and some of you might be like, oh yeah, we do that kind of stuff all the time. So just bear with me and just even if you don't write it down, boys and girls, just keep thinking about what we are doing with this. So we're going to be adding fractions today. We're going to be adding fractions with like mixed numbers and just regular fractions. And we're going to do it using a number bond, which some of you like and some of you don't. So just bear with me. But it does make sense. So we're going to just try, okay? So let's go. We'll go right to the problem set. We have 1A. I gotta move mine closer so I can see it. We have 3 1/4 plus 1/4. Now what I like to do is I like to forget about the whole number at first, and I like to look at the fraction part. And you can do that because we know that 3 1/4 is 3 wholes shaded in. And of course these all would be divided into 4 parts, and we know that this is 1/4. So I can just kind of put this to the side for a moment and just say, okay, well, I don't really need the 3 wholes yet. So let's look at our fractions. And of course I forgot paper towel. Sorry about that. It's 2 days in a row I've done that. All right, so let's look. We're adding 1/4 and 1/4, and all of you are saying right now that's really easy. That's 2/4, and it is. So we'll just bring our whole number back here, 3 2/4. Look, they always started off with an easy one. So we're good with that one, right? Yes, okay. So moving on to B, 7 3/4 plus 1/4. So let's look at our fractions. We have 3/4 plus 1/4. You can draw it out if you want. You can show me that what 3/4 looks like and 1/4 looks like, or you can say, well, I know that 3, let's add our numerators, 3 and 1 is 4/4. So if I have 3/4 and I have 1/4 and I put them together, I'm going to have 4/4. 4/4 is what though? 4/4 is 1 whole, isn't it? Here's our whole number. We don't have a whole number here, and now we have a whole number here, so let's add those together. So 7 and 1 is 8. So what we did was we added these two together to get 4/4, and that becomes 1 whole. So you add the 1 and your 7 wholes to give us 8. So this is where see, it got a little bit crazy here, but it's not too bad. Apparently you can't see down there, sorry. All right, then we have 3/8. This is C, plus 5 2/8. Oh, the whole number here is over here. It's the second. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I like to circle my whole number so I don't forget about it. So that's a good idea, is just circle that so you don't forget about it, and you can well, let's look at our fractions now. So we have our fraction parts. We have 3/8 and 2/8. So how many eighths is that all together? 3 and 2 would be 5/8, right? Are we adding any whole numbers together? I just have my 5. So it's 5 and 5/8. So remember, we add these fractions together. Of course, it gets more complicated. So 1/8 plus 6 7/8. All right, so here's my whole number, right? What are my fractions? 1/8 plus 7/8 is going to give me how many eighths? That's right, it's going to give me 8/8, which is 1 whole. So we add 6 plus 1 to get 7. So 1/8 plus 6 7/8 is 7 whole. Now, you could draw this out if you want. You can make a tape diagram, that's fine. The name of the game today, though, is number bonds. It's add a mixed number and a fraction, but the whole way they really want us to do this is using number bonds. So, all right, so number 2. If we have 4 7/8, I'm going to add something to it to give me 5 whole. Let's draw this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 7/8. So I know that these are colored in. These are all 8/8 are all shaded in here 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to color in. Okay, so this shows 4 7/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I almost have 5 whole. How much left until I get to 5? 1/8. See, that wasn't so bad. Oops, equals. Yay. Next one, 7 2/5 plus something gives me 8. So if we're at 7, we've got, oh my goodness, we've got 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now I have to do 2/5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are all shaded in. How many more until I have 8 whole shaded in? And as you can tell, I have 3/5. I'm sure you probably figured out that 2 plus 3 is 5. So once we get our 5/5, we'd have another one to add, another whole number to add. All right, so 3 is equal, oh, they switched that on us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it comes at the beginning or the end. Is 2 1/6 plus, all right, so how many more 6 until I get a whole? 5, 6 more until I get a whole. Okay, if I have 2 1/6, I need to 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what I have so far. I need to figure out how many more until I get to 3 whole colored in. So that's 5, 6. And D, 12 equals 11 1/12 plus what? How many more 12ths do I need to add to this? So you're going to do 12 minus 1, which is 11. 11 more 12ths until I can get. So see, that wasn't too bad. Now comes the fun part. 3 says use a number bond and arrow way to show, an arrow way? That sounds funny. To show how to make 1. So we have 2 3/4 plus 2/4. Okay, so if we added 3/4 and 2/4, we would get 5/4, and you know that. 5/4 is an improper fraction. So this is where it gets a little complicated, because then you have an improper fraction and you have a mixed number, and then you have the whole number. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. So we're going to start with our number bond way. So what they're saying, or what we're trying to do is say, start at our 3/4 and say, well, how many more, I like to circle my whole number, how many more fourths to get to 1 whole? And you know, we need 1 more 4th to get to 1 whole. So if I separate this into 1/4, and how many? 1/4, that's 2/4, right? If I add these together, I get 1 whole. So I like to circle them and put it here. And this is my fraction that's left. So what's 2 plus 1? It's 3 1/4. Got it? Let's do another one. Looks complicated, but it's not, it's really not too bad. So 3 3/5 plus 3/5. Okay, so like I said, I like to circle my whole number. We have 3/5. How many more until we get to 5/5? Because that's the name of the game. We're making a whole number, okay? We want, how many more? 2/5, right? Because 2 and 3 is 5. So we're going to put those together. If I took out 2/5 here, what am I left with? I'm left with 1/5. So 3/5 and 2/5 gives me 1 whole. 3 whole plus 1 would be 4, and my fraction left is 1/5. So I have 4 1/5. Please excuse Penny in the background. So that's my answer. So now we're going to go to 4 on the back. Well, I don't know if it's on the back. Yeah, it's on the back for you. And we're going to solve all of these the same way. So we have, so this is A, 4 2/3 plus 2/3. All right, circle your whole number because we can't forget about those guys. 2/3 plus what is going to give us 1 whole? Well, 1/3. If I have 1/3 here, how many thirds do I have left? Because I had started with 2, and then I have 1/3 left, right? These guys make 1 whole. So you do 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1 is 5 1/3. See, it's not too bad once we get going on this. B, 3 3/5 plus 4/5. Okay, here's our whole number. We have 3/5. How many more until we get to 5/5? I need 2/5. If I take 2/5 out of 4/5, how many do I have left? I have 2/5 left. These guys together make 1 whole. So you do 3 plus 1, which is 4, and I have 2/5 left. C. Penny's not so sure about today. 5 4/6 plus 5/6. All right, circle that whole number. 4/6 plus what is going to give us 6/6? Oh, we know we need 2 more. If I take 2 out of 5/6, I am left with 3/6. Correct? Yes. So 5 plus, this is 1 whole, gives me 6 3/6. Seem good? Gets better as we go. Hopefully I'm not making any mistakes, because you can't really actually correct me right now. D, we have 7/8 plus 6 4/8. Now, we could do it whichever way. We can separate this one, or we can separate this one. I'm going to stick with circling my whole number and saying, well, if I take from here 1/8, these two together will give me 1 whole. You could have separated this guy. You could have said, okay, if I have 4/8, how many more until 1 whole, and taken 4 from there. It's okay to do it either way. It doesn't really matter. So I just chose to do it this way. As long as, see how I circle it though, to remind me that it's 1 whole. So if I'm taking 1/8 away from this one, I am left with 3/8. So 1 plus 6 is 7 in 3/8. But you could have, I'll show you the other way you could do it. So 7 3/8 is our answer. So we could have said, well, how many more do I need to make 8/8? I need 4/8, and that leaves me with 3/8. So if I add those, I get 1 whole. So 6 plus 1 is 7 and 3/8. Penny, really, stop. So either way works. So the E is 7/10 plus 7 and 9/10. So I'm going to say, oh no, I don't want to do it that way. Well, it doesn't matter. If I separate 9/10, how many more tenths? When I start at 7/10, how many more until I get 10? I need 3 more. So those make my 1. And if I took 3 away from 9, I have 6/10 left. So we're adding 1 plus 7, which is 8, and 6/10. F is 9 and 7/12 plus 11/12. Okay, so here's my whole number. I'm going to say how many more, if I start at 7, how many more until 12? I need 5/12. It's going to give me that 1 whole. If I start at 11 and I take 5 away, I'm left with 6/12. As we know, is 1/2. 9 plus 1 is 10 and 6/12, or 10 1/2. Okay, G, we're almost there, guys. 2 and 70 hundredths, wow, plus 87 hundredths. Really? With these big numbers? All right, if I'm at 70, how many more until I get to 100? I need 30. So we take out 30 from this guy to give me that 100 over 100, which is 1 whole. And if I take 30 from 87, I'm left with, you could go off to the side if you need to. That's not really how you do it, but I bet you already knew. It was 57. So 2 plus 1 is 3 and 57 hundredths. And then H. Okay, H. I want you to try H by yourself, and you can comment or send me a message wherever you need to let me know what the answer to H is, okay? And if you need to watch this a couple times, it's okay, because it's kind of confusing, but also we do know how to do this. All right, boys and girls, I'll see you soon.